So how many of you guys have heard that song, What's Your Selling Point? You know, the goodie bag song? Does everybody know that song? Okay, I really like that song because I agree with the message. The message is everybody has a selling point. Everybody has something really special inside of them. They have some skill that's really important. And I believe everybody has a selling point or a skill that they can use to change the world. And the way that works is you take your skill or your idea or that thing that makes you unique and you mix it with some area where you want to make a change. And then you do something that's totally new and something that hasn't been done before. And that's a really powerful thing. And if you're doing that because you want to make the world a better place, that process is called social innovation. And if you're just doing it in your free time, you know, if you're doing it a couple hours a week, I call it part-time social innovation. So now I want to tell you a story that makes that a little bit more concrete. So a few Saturdays back, I was driving across Falmouth Bridge, and I was really stressed. I was stressed because I had this feeling like I've been working on something for the last 2 years. That's how long I've been in Lagos. I've been working on something for the last 2 years, and I felt like I was going to leave Lagos without finishing it. And it was something I poured a lot of love into, you know, all my energy and time, I've been pouring it into this thing. So I had a problem, I had a question. And this thing was called the Carrington Youth Fellowship Initiative, CYFI. We call it SciFi. We call it the SciFi Fellowship. And what it is, it's a U.S. consulate fellowship program for young Nigerians. We support the social innovation ideas of 15 young Nigerians every year. We fund them, connect them with partners, companies, do professional development workshops. And we really look for people who have lots of passion, but maybe they didn't have, you know, someone at the top, I guess, as you say, some old guy at the top to help them out. So that's the role that we play. I work for the U.S. consulate, so we sort of fill that role for people who are really passionate and have really great ideas. And I've been working on this program for 2 years with some of my colleagues, and I think we got into right here. We had a lot of success, and we got into a really good level, but I knew it could get to here, and I didn't know how to make that jump. You know, I didn't have much time. I didn't have much time in my free time, and I only had another couple months in Lagos. I actually leave Lagos in a month, which I'm pretty upset about. But, you know, there were a couple things we wanted to do. We wanted to get better at communicating our vision to the fellows in a way that they would understand. We wanted to get better at making the fellowship run more effectively. I'm on the board of directors of the program, and we wanted to make the fellowship function better. So I'm stressing about this as I'm in my car. As I said, I was going across Falmouth Bridge. I go right onto Ozumba, and then I start heading down Walter Carrington to the U.S. consulate. And I show up a couple minutes early. And the reason I came early that day was we were actually having a program for the 15 SciFi fellows and 15 SciFi alumni. We'd invited a project management expert named Nii Taiwo, and he was giving a free seminar on project management. So Nii started going through these like really basic project management concepts. And as he was talking, these light bulbs started going off in my head. So the problems that I've been talking about a few minutes before, I started thinking of solutions to them based on what he was saying. So he was talking about, you know, how you can communicate better and how you can be a more effective leader. And he was talking about interpersonal skills. So I started thinking about, okay, these are the interpersonal skills that I need to work on and the other members of the board need to work on in order to get better. And then he started talking about dividing certain types of responsibilities from other types of responsibilities, and using lots of technical terms to make that point. And I started thinking about how we could do that to become more efficient. So it was a 2-hour talk, it was free, but I think the impact of that talk on us and on Lagos and on Nigeria was pretty significant. And I'll tell you why. Everybody in that room was a social innovator. There were people who were young people who were committed to really making a difference. So, for example, there was one 2013 SciFi fellow named Adiola, and she was the top engineering student in her class. She was also the only female in her university class. And her sci-fi project was figuring out a way to inspire secondary school girls to get excited about engineering. Because she realized that there should be more than one girl studying engineering in her class, and girls weren't getting inspired. So she's already inspired hundreds of girls. But after the seminar, she talked about how the things she'd learned in those 2 hours were going to make her so much more effective, and maybe she can increase her impact by 50% this year. And then maybe next year's and in subsequent years, she can increase her impact even more. So, because of those 2 hours, Adiola was able to probably touch hundreds more people. And then multiply that by the 15 fellows, and then multiply that by their 30, 40, 50-year career in social innovation, how many people have been touched now? And then multiply that by the fellowship, which is working better, and we're going to bring fellows every year. And so we're able to reach more people that way. So in 2 hours, he probably indirectly affected the lives of thousands of people just spending 2 hours. And that's what I want to talk about. So what I'm here to talk about today is the power of part-time social innovation. Part-time social innovation is so powerful because, like what Nee did, he took a skill that he already had that was powerful, he mixed it with something new, something that hadn't experienced that skill or that concept before, which was young social entrepreneurs in Nigeria. And the power of doing something new impacted thousands of people. It didn't take any money, it took hardly any time. It didn't even take a new idea that you can't find on the internet. But just by being strategic about how to become a part-time social innovator, he impacted thousands of people. So now I want to define the terms a little bit. So what is innovation? Innovation is making a change by mixing something established, like sci-fi, with something new. It could be a concept, it could be a skill, it could be an idea, it could be a process. And the really cool thing about innovation is I think everybody in this room has the ingredient for innovation. Okay, we have lawyers, doctors, teachers, app designers, computer programmers, maybe taxi drivers, Okada riders, people who are singers, artists, all different kinds of talents. And I bet a lot of the people in this room haven't even thought about how their talent could be used to make the world better or to, make something better. Okay, social innovation. So when I talk about social, I'm not talking about the thing that we spend 90% of our workdays on, Facebook and Twitter. I'm talking about ways that you can make the world a little bit better. By social, I'm talking about problems that you see that you want to address. So, for example, Nee Taiwo, the project management consultant, he saw that young social entrepreneurs were not operating as effectively as they could. And that was a social problem that he saw, and he addressed it with his 2-hour presentation. Okay. The final part of this is part-time social innovation. And I think that's what makes the idea so powerful. Because probably everyone here, maybe there's some dollar billionaires in the room right now. I know it's not me. I have to work to pay my rent and do everything. So I don't have the time to drop everything and save the world full time. But I can spend a few hours a week trying to make the world a little bit better. I think probably everybody in this room could do the same. And the fact that we have the power of innovation in order to make our impact means that just working part-time can allow us to make that serious impact. And you know, for the Carrington Youth Fellowship program, for me and for my colleagues, it was a part-time thing. At the U.S. consulate where I work, it's not my full-time responsibility. Actually, I'm going to tell you a little secret. When I started out in Lagos, I was one of the visa officers. So I was one of the guys saying, you know, yes, no, yes, no. Sorry, please don't hate me. I promise I was nice. I promise I was nice, and I tried to be really, really fair. It's not easy up there. But anyway, I was doing this visa thing, you know, 40 hours a week, 100 bright faces a day. And I was thinking, you know, I'm not using all the parts of myself that I could be using. So I teamed up with my colleagues to do this part-time social innovation thing. Okay, why do it? Why do part-time social innovation? I think the first reason is, you know, all of us agree there are problems in the world. I work for the U.S. Department of State, so for the U.S. government. And I can tell you authoritatively that governments don't have solutions to all the world's problems. I think governments should be a solution to a lot of the world's problems. And we have to push governments to do better. But that's really up to individual people to a large extent, to social innovators. So that's number one. And number two, being a social innovator makes sense for the social innovator. Quick story. Probably a lot of you guys have heard of a guy named Benga Sesson. Right now, he's a pretty well-known social media guy. He started out about 10 years ago as an ICT consultant. And he realized he had this really powerful skill. And he also had a passion for working with young people. So he decided to start mentoring young people in Ajegunle and teaching them ICT skills and life skills. And it was this really innovative thing. And people started noticing. Like, he started in his free time. He started on the weekends and the evenings. But people started noticing. The program grew. He started getting speaking invitations to speak in South Africa and New York. People started funding his organization. Now his personal brand has exploded, and it exploded because people realized that he was a social innovator, and he was answering some of the problems that were really pressing in his city and in his country. And I think that's not uncommon for social innovators. Oftentimes, you know, the world benefits, but the innovator really benefits too. So how do you do it? Well, I think the first thing you should do is think about, what's my skill? What's that selling point in my goodie bag? And it could be a lot of different things. For some people, maybe it's what you do at work. Maybe you're like me, and it's a skill that you had that you weren't being able to use at work. So think about what you have to offer that can make an impact. Next thing you should think about is what you're passionate about. Where do you want to apply your skill? Are you always complaining about politics and government and this and that? Well, why don't you apply your skill in some way to make an impact there? You know, maybe one of your family members had a really bad experience with the healthcare system. I bet you could use one of your skills to make a really significant impact in your community, or maybe in a larger space, if you think about it, if you think about how you can do it. And then the final thing you have to do is find the vehicle for mixing together your skill and your passion for change. And there are a few different paths you could go down. You know, the one that I really like and the one that I did was sort of the CSR route. So if you're already working for a company, or you know, you're part of a school or part of an existing organization, you can think about, how can I, you know, use my skills to start a new initiative in my organization? And you might find that your organization is really receptive, because it could bring good publicity for them. It could help them attract new customers. You know, in my case, the U.S. consulate was really happy about this program, even though it was totally outside our job descriptions. Mentoring young Nigerians has been good for the consulate. So that's one thing you could do. Another route you could go down is you could do what Nee did, what Nee Taiwo, the project management consultant, did. Just find your skill and then find an organization that's already doing awesome work. And there are a lot of organizations doing really good work. And give a few hours of your time a week or a few hours of your time a month. And if you pick your skill right, and if your skill is sharp enough, you could have a huge impact doing that. And you could be recognized as a social innovator. And notice I've said Nee Taiwo's name like 15 times already. So going down that route can also have benefits for you. And the final thing you can do is you can start your own initiative. And I think that's not necessarily as scary as it sounds. You can start part-time, a few hours a week. And since coming to Lagos, one thing I've been really impressed by is the extent to which people in this city and in this country are willing to get behind ideas that are being championed by people who are really passionate and are working and have the right objective at heart. So as you move forward, I bet you'll be surprised by how many people start backing you if you establish a track record. And who knows, maybe soon this like social side hustle will become your full-time side hustle, like what happened for Benga. So to all the current SciFi fellows in the audience and all the SciFi alumni and to all the full-time social innovators and part-time social innovators, I hope you keep doing what you do. And to everyone else who maybe didn't realize that they have a selling point or a special skill that could really impact and change the world, I hope you figure out what that is, and I hope you start changing the world. Thank you.